Right. Just get this.
We're live?
Yes, we are live. I'm just getting
Okay,
the PPT. Right.
fantastic. So, very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, to the webinar 8 from Team WFM Media. I am your co-host, Amit Malhotra. We have a August gathering today of 400 people. It's a Monday. God only knows what the difference between a Monday and a Sunday is technically. But having said that, this feels that you have to tell yourself in the morning what day it is so that you can focus a little differently from that respect. We have a very interesting subject called building maintenance, building facade design. So we have Roop Chanda, Prabhu, Guna Sekaran, and Kirti Malavuru who will be presenting. I now hand it over to Ahad to take the ceremonies per se forward. And please, happy listening. Just one simple request: please stay home, stay safe, wear your mask, and while in this seminar, see if you can learn as much as you can and everybody to feel happy, and as many questions that you would like to ask at the end, do that. Ahad, over to you.
Right. Thank you, Amit. So, as Amit mentioned, today's webinar is on BIM and building facade design. I'll give you a quick overview of today's session. We will have a presentation first by architect Roop Chanda, followed by Kirti, and then Prabhu. Just to discuss what's being presented on today's webinar. So we have architect Roop Chanda talking on how BIM has influenced building and facade design. He's going to be our first presenter for the day, followed by Kirti from Autodesk India. He would be talking on manufacturing for mass customization and designing for purpose. And then following him, we will have a presentation from Prabhu, again from Autodesk India, on BIM workflows. Just to give you an overview of our presenters, our first presenter for today is architect Roop Chanda. He's an associate director at RSP Design Consultants. RSP are one of the leading architecture firms in India. It's a Singapore company that have been present in India for quite some time. They have been known to do some of the best IT parks across India. So Roop is their associate director, and he has over 18 years of professional experience. So he's going to be our first presenter. Following him, we are going to have Kirti Malavuru. He's the senior technical specialist, design and manufacturing business at Autodesk India. Autodesk does not need any introduction. They are one of the pioneers in the BIM segment. Kirti has a decade-long experience, and he's been with Autodesk for quite some time. Following him, we have Prabhu Gunasekaran, who is the BIM 360 technical sales specialist at Autodesk India. So Prabhu will be talking about BIM workflows, and now we will start the session. Before I start, a few pointers. So any questions which are being presented will be taken at the end of the session. We'll do a collaborative Q&A between all the speakers today. You can type the questions in the questions pane on the GoToWebinar control panel, and we will also be recording today's session. So once this session gets over, 2 hours after the webinar, you will receive a video recording of today's session. No PowerPoints are going to be shared, but the recording of today's webinar will be shared with you. We will now move on to our first presenter for today, is architect Roop Chanda from RSP Designs. Roop, I think I have given you the control. Can you just have a look at it? You can start your slide. Right. So we are going to switch off our cameras, and I'll see you after your presentation.
Sure. So I'll also switch off my camera, and just a minute, please. So can you see the screen?
Perfect. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So hi, good afternoon all. I'm Roop. I work at RSP as an associate director. I've been working there for some time, and I got this opportunity to share my experience working on BIM especially the way it has influenced building and facade design in the last few years. My first project on BIM, I mean, it was a pretty big project, extensive project, started in 2012. That's when I first really dived into BIM and got a building design and eventually construction done, which was all done on BIM. And over the last 8 years, I have kind of learned to appreciate how BIM has impacted what we design, and thought this is a good platform to share that, both for building and facade design. So, this way. Yeah. So before I start, I know many of you already understand what BIM is, building information modeling. But if you search across, there is not one coherent definition of what BIM would be. I picked up a couple of definitions that are there, and there are a number of others, but these two kind of, more or less the same, but presented in a separate way, and kind of, I feel that they represent what I understand of BIM. The first one is from NBS, the UK's National Building Specifications. Now it's called the NBS. They define building information modeling as a process of creating and managing information on a construction project across the project lifecycle. One of the key outputs of this process is the building information modeling, and that's pretty key, building information model, because that's how we recognize BIM. And the digital description of every aspect of the build asset. So what I would like to highlight in this information is, this definition by NBS says that it's a process, which it is, and one of the key outputs is the model that comes out from this process, which has the digital description of all the build asset within. The other one definition is, I picked it up from Autodesk, and it's more in tune with how the market, especially the market in India, perceives BIM, and it is equally relevant and true. It says it's an intelligent 3D model-based process that gives architecture, engineering, and construction professionals the insight and tools to more efficiently plan, design, construct, and manage buildings and infrastructure. So over here, the highlight of this definition is, it's a model which assists the professionals to manage the whole building process. So again, over here also there is a stress on the process, but the stress is also a lot on the 3D model, which is the output of this process. So that is what building information modeling is, that I understand. It's a 3D based model with a lot of nested data, which helps us design and construct building. So how has BIM influenced our industry? It has influenced our industry throughout, right from the pre-design process, project conceptualizing, pre-design process, all the way to building maintenance and the facilities team taking over and maintaining the building. So it has influenced in facilities management, maintenance. The facility managers use the BIM models to maintain the whole building. It also has influenced the entire commissioning trade. How buildings and equipment are being commissioned. BIM provides all the data now to these commissioning agents and consultants to help commission buildings. Extensively, it has influenced the construction management. The whole way buildings are being built today with the help of BIM models has changed the outlook of how contractors, subcontractors, and the construction managers are managing a construction project. It has impacted contract management, be it by the accuracy of data, the wholeness, completeness of data. It has highly impacted the procurement process and the tendering process, because the information that can be extracted now while procuring or tendering is a lot more accurate. And finally, what this presentation is about, it has also extensively influenced the building and facade design. The way as architects we have been designing buildings and facades also has been influenced highly. And the next set of slides are kind of the slides where I have given my understanding, my experience in the last 8-10 years that I've been using this process, the tools associated with it, how it has really impacted architectural design. So how has BIM influenced the building design process? Well, when I sat down working on this presentation, the first thing that really struck me when I thought through it is the speed at which the building information models provides data, provides information to us, and the way it processes and presents it to us. So, we have a whole gamut of consultants working on buildings today. There are structural engineers, MEP engineers, electrical engineers, landscape architects, ourselves, architecture. All of us are feeding data for a project into a central BIM model. And this BIM model is taking all this extensive information, processing it and giving exactly the kind of information that I want. Like if I'm designing a building and I want to understand, I want to change something while I'm designing, what is the beam size there? All I need to do is go to a central model where a structural engineer has already fed his data, and I can just tell out the dimensions of a beam or a column or the size of a HVAC duct. So the speed at which I am now able to access information is tremendous, and the amount of information is tremendous. So that's the first thing I feel it has impacted the architects. When we design, we have a lot more information to design with. Second, then it has kind of become obvious now that we are designing buildings using 3D models that resolving complex geometries and including parametric design and all that, it's become much easier. Previously also there were a lot of complex geometries done, no doubt about it, but resolving them would take a lot more time, and hence there are clients who do not have that kind of time or do not used to have that kind of time to this kind of complex geometries. But today, with the advent of tools, BIM tools like we use Revit or Grasshopper or Rhinoceros, whatever we use, we are able to now easily resolve such complex structures within time frames which used to be traditional for straightforward buildings. So quick resolution of complex geometries have become easy and hence more reachable to regular design in regular time. The third point is, as a communication tool, the tools used by BIM, the process of BIM, especially the 3D tools, have made it very easy to communicate. It's far more superior when it comes to communicating, very quick and real time. When I say real time is as you change design, as you progress in your design, all the elements start coming up real time for other consultants, your client, or even the contractor if he's in right at the beginning, to understand the changes or the development of the design. The plan or the image that you see is a model of a terrace of a 10-story building where we have modeled out all equipment, MEP equipment, solar panels, screens. The reason I'm showing this image is when we sat down with the facade maintenance team on how to install their BMU units, we explained the whole design using this image. And obviously other images, more close-ups, and they went back with a much better understanding of exactly what's there on the terrace, the docks, the raceways, the cable trays, the beams, the structural beams, and how they can place their equipment for building maintenance. So it's very effective as a communication tool also. Another big point is conflict resolution or clash detection. Clash detection is a more market used term, but basically it's very a superior tool when it comes to resolving conflicts. The image that you see is the same building. This is the all the MEP service skeleton of the building. You know, and we have switched off some layers because it was becoming too dark, but it can get this complex. In today's buildings, where the backbones of the building is so complex, you need a superior tool which will be able to which will be able to resolve all conflict, like between services, between structure and service lines, between equipment and the architecture. And this tool provides you with that kind of flexibility, accuracy, that you can go and resolve each conflict at a time and come to a better product for the client. The next would be easier implementation of vision. I mean, that's a dream for an architect. You know, what you start with the drawing board and what ends up on site have to be, I mean, they should be as close as possible. And what's happening with tools, with daily processes and tools is you are able to virtually construct the building. You can look into all the flaws within the computer, resolve all the flaws, and then get out a set of documents and drawings to the site so that the final implementation is as close to as what you had designed on the drawing board or on the computer. So the vision stays intact, and it's easier for you to explain to the consultant or the contractor, other consultants and the contractor, exactly what needs to be done, because you have already gone through it in the computer screen or in your design in the computer on drawing board. Another thing that I have observed is the process, the design process, and the way you articulate the design articulation has become much more efficient. And the reason for this is because the nested information within a BIM model is so much and so real time. Is as you design and develop your design, you change areas, you change cutouts, double height spaces, or other things. That information gets immediately updated, and you know whether you are within the parameters or whether you have exceeded the parameters or you are well below the parameters that you have set for yourself. Say the total area that has to be covered, or total height, or basic parameters. So as you design a building using the BIM tools, it's very easy to keep a real-time check of whether you are within the parameters, whether the efficiencies the client is looking for you, whether those efficiency numbers, the cost numbers, everything can be very easily worked out. So as a designer, I feel I don't waste a lot of time, going to a certain extent and then realizing, oh, I have exceeded something by far and have to go back. Those numbers come real time, and my efficiency of design and the design process has increased. One of the big items of BIM is the work sharing. This is one of the critical items that make BIM so successful in today's scenario, where I believe in modern day, a building is not just a building. It's a very complex machine, which is designed with a collaboration of a number of specialists. The structural specialist, the structural consultant is doing the structure, the electrical doing the electrical, complicated electrical scheme design, the HVAC is doing a complicated HVAC design, the landscape, the interiors. And because it's so complex, there has to be a platform where all this thing can be collaborated and brought into one place, including architecture, and let the whole system, the whole building work seamlessly. And BIM provides a platform of that kind, the work sharing collaboration. Previous 2D formats could not give you the kind of collaboration sharing experience that BIM provides. And the future has, because collaboration has become easier, buildings are going to become complex in the future, and I mean, BIM is going to be the route in which to resolve and bring out complex buildings. This is the final item. Previously, also I have mentioned that there is a lot of information that is nested in a model. And when we say a lot of information nested in a model, it's because every object that you design within BIM system has embedded information. That's very important to us designers. As I design as an architect for a facade or say for a door, I can have so much information embedded within within an object. Like for a door, when I click on a door, I immediately can see, it gives me the information of how wide it is, how high it is, the clear opening, how wide and high is the shutter height, so on and so forth. Even the hardware, if you want, you can get the manufacturer, if it's a specific off-the-shelf product, the model number, everything is there, nested, embedded in the model. And that makes it very easy for us designers as we move on in the design process to know what has been put in and if that needs to change, if that needs to stay or whatever, but it gives us a lot of data. So these are the, these 8 to 9 points I mentioned, where the points that I feel have impacted us as architects and designers in designing buildings. I'll quickly take you through an example of BIM, where we, as in any project, with BIM projects also we start with the concept design, but the way BIM helps us understand the site is kind of a paradigm shift. Previously 15 years back, we were used to two-dimensional survey drawings and trying to understand how the topography is, and however good we are not seeing it in real time. Now today, in concept design, the BIM 3D modeling gives me a capability of understanding how exactly the topography is. How do I set my building in it? Where do I need to cut? It helps me minimize cutting, filling, where the water will flow, minimize obstruction into water flow gradients, so on and so forth. So concept design in itself has changed, where I have much more information to start my design with. During concept design, when the client gives me the parameters, this is the number of, this is the total floor area, number of floors, so on and so forth. All I have to do is feed that into my BIM system, the tool, and then as I design, it tells me exactly whether I am within my design parameters. This was a complex project where we were asked to design 3 buildings with certain parameters, the total areas to be something. So at a very concept stage, we just did block modeling to understand what can the configurations be of the different buildings, how many floors, floor areas, and still be within parameters. It's no longer taking out the calculator and calculating. This is real time, and helps you as you design this. So post that, when we reach the schematic design and we are looking at design options, especially with Revit, which is from Autodesk. We use Revit extensively in our office, and with Revit, we have this option of also having a central file with multiple design options. You know, and then 4 people can simultaneously be working on 4 design options and develop it, present it, and finally take the one that has been picked by the client or by your team, move information from other models which were approved or which you would like to get into the selected design option, and move it over there. So the flexibility in design as a designer, as an architect, has now increased. You know, I don't have to go to 4 different desks to understand what it's all happening in one central model where we are designing, where we are linking into with different design options. Revit is very good when it, or BIM is very good when you move into further design, detailed design. So at a design development stage, when you have more or less frozen the design, you start coordinating with other disciplines to see whether your design works. And the BIM tools at this point of time are like excellent. They, this image is a representation of that, how electrical services, HVAC services, fire and plumbing services, and then architecture and structure have all come into one, and then at a design development stage, we have slowly removed all the possible conflicts that can be there, so that we have a clearer design evolving, coming out of our schematic design. So this is the image of a detailed interdiscipline coordination at plant level in the same building that I have been showing all along. It's in the basements, and this is the kind of detailed coordination that we have been able to achieve as a designer to get a complete design out at the end of it. Detailing, again, as I said, BIM tools help you with detailing, and what I personally have felt is there is a paradigm shift. Instead of seeing the 2D images of details where things kind of get complex, we have been able to extract 3D details so that the fabricator or the contractor at site is able to look at it and understand what exactly are we asking. And the same applies for even when we are talking to our facade consultants, or we are talking to our client who are questioning whether this a certain detail will work. Such 3D details really help you out. This particular image is of detailed of circular column meeting a soffit, and how the facade detail was worked around that. It was a coordinated effort between the architects, the structural, and the facade team, and a detail that came out to the satisfaction of all. And it is complex, and such images help the contractor and the client understand where we are. The next after design development is the construction documentation stage, where we extensively use BIM to help us with the documentation, because all intelligent objects within the BIM are able to dynamically transfer data into schedules and legends and make the documentation process far easier. This is a real example where we have schedules and legends which are tied to the plan, which is shown on the image, and it gives you exactly the number of seats, the areas. It even gives you a legend. It's automatically linked. If I give that color, this is where it comes through, and the legend is automatically created. So documentation becomes far easier. Also, because there are intelligent objects with embedded information, Providing additional information also becomes very easy. We give far more detailed drawings that a contractor can use on site. The contracts manager, during procurement can make the contract airtight because of the extent of information that's there. And design change. All designs change over time for a number of reasons, on-site reasons, commercial reasons, so on and so forth. Design change is a regular part, and the management of design change is automatic. As you change, you can cloud and automatically assign revision numbers. So there is no mistake. When the second revision comes out, the numbers change automatically, and you know which is the latest, and are able to build as per the latest information. I'll quickly jump to how I have found facade design being impacted with BIM, and it's from the same project, from most of it from the same project that I've picked up, but not this. Complex geometry resolution. I had already picked on this point previously. BIM, as you can see, this shell and the skylights in this shell are very complex. It's a parametric design. And each skylight is of different shape. I cannot imagine in a doubly curved shell different kinds of skylights of different shapes being designed on 2D. It would be a very complex and long process. But with these BIM tools, this has all become very easy. We are able to transmit exact information of the shape of every skylight, the geometry of every skylight, and the detail of every skylight in a complex geometry like this. During schematic design, we have also, using BIM tools like Rhinoceros and Grasshopper, developed very detailed parametric modeling, which can only be resolved. I mean, it can be resolved in two-dimensional software, but it's going to take a lot of time and can be prone to a number of mistakes. Whereas BIM has allowed us parametric modeling in a much easier format, getting documentation which is far more accurate and easy to present. And if there are questions that the contractor has, he always has access to the model where he can be resolved, dimensioned, and additional details taken out. So parametric modeling today we see in the market for facade design is catching up because of the ease with which they can be resolved using BIM tools. As part of schematic design, we also provide these facade models to our daylighting consultants, because our glass in our model, all the properties of the glass are already embedded in the glass. All the shading devices, everything has already been modeled with all the information, and all we have to do is just give a link of this model to the lighting consultant, and he tells us you need to change the type of glass or the thickness of glass, or you need to add additional shading devices in the facade. And so facade design has become more scientific. It's aesthetical, but also we are able to give a better product for the end user because now it's become more scientific. Because we are able to provide these models to the facade, to the daylighting consultants who give us much better information now. As we move into more detailed quiz for facade design, coordination with other disciplines, like in building design, in facade design also, BIM has proved to be excellent. The image that you see below is in this project where we had embedded channels to hold the curtain wall planned during design stage already, so that they do not conflict with the post-tension structural tendons that are already in the slab, that will be there in the slab. So during design phase, we have ensured that the tendons are placed in such a way that there is no conflict of the tendons with the channel embeds. And it's we can check every channel on that and make sure that when these drawings and details go to site, we don't find any conflict. That's one of the reasons ultimately we see what we have designed, what we have visioned come out on the site as is. This is the energy modeling. Also, similarly as daylighting design, we just provide our model with all the facade elements, because facade is a very important aspect of the, the energy modeler can immediately take out the opaque versus the non-opaque, the window wall ratios, the kind of solar factors that have been included in the glass, and so on and so forth. And all he needs is this model that we give him, and he's able to extract the energy modeling data out from this model with ease. So that also helps us to make sure we design efficient buildings and efficient facades. And finally, again, the detailing. Even at facades, if the detailing using the BIM tools is done correctly, very complex details can come out. The picture that you see, the image that you see on the screen is our discussion with our facade consultant, where two glasses meet, the stack joint and the slab, and how the interface is going to happen between the slab and the stack joint. It's illustrated in three-dimensional, and for us architects, though we have been used to seeing two-dimensional details of this kind, a three-dimensional detail gives us a very good understanding of exactly how it's happening and whether we need to modify. So it has helped us tremendously when it comes to facade design using BIM tools and getting to this detail in three-dimension and be able to resolve such details. So I think I'm nearly at the end of my presentation. I have kind of gone through, but I'd like to conclude three important things that I would want the audience to take back when they think about BIM and how it impacts building and facade design. The first point would be BIM provides access to a large range of information, the amount of data that it gives us, and the necessary speed to process it, which has brought in a paradigm shift in the way architects look at building and facade design. With that much more information today, as designers and architects, we are able to provide a better design. I believe we are able to provide a better design of the building and the facade to the client because of the extent of information. Complex facades and buildings are far easier to conceptualize and build now using BIM tools. I've already been through this before, but I think this is a big takeaway. You can now design complex buildings with ease, at least as far as the architects and designers go. It's become much easier to document such complex facades and buildings. And finally, designs are more efficient and coordinated due to easier and better interdisciplinary coordinations using BIM tools. This is a big takeaway, the collaboration part, where in today's complex buildings, designs have become more efficient and coordinated because BIM provides a platform where it can be coordinated, collaborated, and an efficient design be brought out. I think that is all that I had to present. Let me know during the question and answers hour if you have any questions that I can answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Roop, for that interesting presentation and a very lovely summary. I appreciated how you summarized your presentation at the end, which is very, very interesting and very and in fact the right way. Everyone should summarize their presentation at the end. Okay, moving forward, we will take questions at the end as we discussed. Just moving forward, I will have now Kirti from Autodesk present first. So over to you, Kirti, and then we will come back at the end and take a joint Q&A session.
Thanks, Ahad. Thanks, Mr. Roop. It was very, very interesting, and you re-established the importance of having a process-driven approach to the entire building life cycle using BIM as a pillar. With this, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is doing good and they are staying safe. I really appreciate everyone joining in for this session. My name is Kirti Malhoru. I'm the technical specialist at Autodesk, looking after the manufacturing set of solutions. So, in this overall audience, I think I might be one of the odd men out in a room full of architects and civil engineers and people who are connected with the construction industry. I am from the manufacturing segment. So I cater to customers in the manufacturing line. So yeah, that's about me. Now, from Autodesk point of view, and I'm sure that everybody would have associated with Autodesk at one point in time or the other, and everybody would be well aware of AutoCAD, which is highly used documentation and a drawing tool. But now we are much more beyond that. So Autodesk as a business, we cater to multiple industry verticals. It could be manufacturing and its supply chain system. It could be construction infrastructure and its supply chain system, and it could be even in the media and entertainment system industry, where we work with our customers to provide high-end visual effects, animations, movie making, and whatnot to that industry segment. Now, one of the reasons I basically put for this particular slide is it's a very interesting time right now. Where we are seeing that there is a lot of convergence that is happening between various industry segments. A lot of best practices, a lot of processes, a lot of technologies are being borrowed from each of the other different industry verticals. Construction and infrastructure is borrowing a lot of different processes which has been followed by manufacturing from a very long period of time. Processes like life cycle management, mass customization, and stuff like that. Similarly, manufacturing is borrowing from construction and media and entertainment in terms of using technologies like cloud-based collaboration tool, virtual reality, mixed reality, augmented reality for a faster response time. And if you look very closely, couple of things connect these industries, in a very usual way. That is, all these industries, they are globally becoming competitive. And secondly, all these industries, they are now having a reduced time to market. So for you to be better, you need to be faster, accurate, at the same time innovative, and you have to be the best in your business. So that is where we are uniquely positioned. We understand both the strength and the challenges of each of those industries, and we are providing solutions which can help our customers to be the best version of themselves in terms of their offerings. Now, one of the things Mr. Roopchanda established was the importance of building information modeling. He displayed multiple different definitions of BIM, and is absolutely everybody's definition holds good in its own merit. So basically, from let's say a construction layman like me, from a manufacturing background, I see it as a methodology or a process which helps connect various architects, structural engineers, various stakeholders which are involved in the overall building project to efficiently plan, design, build, construct, and operate the entire life cycle of a building, right from my concept design till it is being operated, maintained, and even into the renovation part of it as well, where each and every information is recorded and can be used by various stakeholders to work on a single common data environment. Now, when we say a building, a building is also a mixture of a lot of manufactured components. So a lot of components which are manufactured are also part of a building. It could be your building equipments like lifts, escalators. It could be your sanitary wares, bathroom wares, your HVAC systems, your plumbings, or even a very custom facade or a custom fabrication or curtain walls, etc., etc. So there is a larger ecosystem which is also working with owners and contractors. And what BIM mandates is, it is not just for people who are the owners and the contractors, but it is also to be extended to people who are involved in the entire life cycle of a building. That is your building suppliers as well. So what BIM, it should also enable the building product and fabricators to connect with the various BIM workflows. And if you see, majority of these suppliers, they are predominantly in the manufacturing segment, where the processes are different, where the technologies and the tools and the softwares are different. So essentially what is needed in the industry is that technology should also be extendable to the BIM workflows, and it should provide adequate information that is compatible with your BIM platform. Now, when we talk about the building suppliers, from our standpoint, we can, holistically categorize into 4 different sub verticals, who are into building products, which are basically catalog items, your off-the-shelf items like doors, windows, your lighting, your furniture items, your sanitary bathroom wares, etc. Your building equipments, it could be your heating, your cooling systems, ventilation systems, your evaporators, your building supplies, all your lumber, paint, brick, etc., etc. And finally, your custom fabricated items, your customized facade, your curtain walls, your aluminum claddings, your stairwells, chimneys, skylights, etc. And the reason why custom fabrication falls under manufacturing is, with the current technology which manufacturing product design has, it is well suited to basically provide a highly automated and a parametric way of designing these kind of customized products. Now, in terms of the business model, if you look at it, from the overall size of those elements of those building products, usually your building products are small in size, and your custom fabrication could be the entire facade design, which is fabricated, and these are very large in size. Your building products are basically configured to order, so basically off-the-shelf items or your catalog items like a furniture or a faucet, where you can pick and choose depending upon your requirement, your sizing, your space, etc. And whereas your custom fabrication items like your curtain walls, your facade, or your stairwells are basically engineered to order. So you are defining the purpose of the design and creating a design which is unique to that particular requirement. Now, this is from the overall business point of view. So what this catered to is, this basically falls under the overall design for mass customization, where you can basically create a completely configurable items which can be ordered very quickly and supplied. And at the same time, the technology has to be an enabler to provide you with a completely mass customizable product configurations. At the same time, the technology should be efficient enough to also enable you to design for purpose, design for that particular design intent. So I hope I was able to basically give a brief about what this overall industry in the building supply is all about. So let's take a bit deeper look into this overall from a technology standpoint. Now, how can Autodesk help in terms of manufacturing or design for mass customization? Now, if you look at mass customization, it basically characterizes the requirement of a flexible product and a design process. So in any of the mass customization, any applicable IT or a design tool should allow automated business process. It should be able to configure products. Flexible production processes should be available, as well as the product design technology should allow customization, where the end customer can choose from millions and millions of different product variants and choose a flavor that is well suited or well matched for his unique requirement at a lower price. That is where I stress, at a lower price. So, and basically this mass customization has been widely used in automotive and the computer industry, and this gives a unique opportunity in this industry where the applied principles behind mass customizations can enable industrialized production of customized building products. In a nutshell, mass customization should enable customized products at a very, very quick rate, should have a diverse configurations of the application, at the same time should enable high volume of component requirements. Typical examples would be a furniture, where basically you can provide a catalog of items to choose from, or it could be your bathroom wares like a mixer or a faucet, where depending upon your choice, your space, and or different parameters, you can go ahead and provide it, which can then be supplied and manufactured. Now, I talked about the technology from Autodesk's point of view. We have solutions like Autodesk Inventor, which is a 3D professional engineering and a modeling tool, which can help you to capture the entire automation of that design intent from my concept till it is delivered. So as soon as you have a requirement, the entire design intent can be captured. So say for example you have furniture, I can have a multitude of different configurations of the furniture depending upon your various parameters. It could not be just either height, width, and weight. It could be any of the parameters that you define and that changes the design. You can automate that entire routine. You can automate to create your material schedules or your documentation, as well as provide data that resides in your BIM platform like Revit or a BIM 360. Or Inventor also has the capability to basically work with our another solution called as, or a platform solution called as Forge, which is a developer platform where I can use this intelligent knowledge or an intelligent data to create a highly configurable online configurator, which can be used by your customers, your suppliers to pick and choose and increase your overall RFQs. An example here is a typical, you would have seen a sunshade. Now this, depending upon your requirement, I can basically change various functions depending upon my requirement, automatically create the process or automate the process of documentation and create an online configurator using Forge at the background, which is then accessed by my customers or any of the other people who are part of this process, and quickly configure to my requirement and export the data in my format at the same time. It also uniquely enables something called as POS, that is point of sale. So you can also use it as a means to increase your overall RFQ. And the data that is generated will finally reside in your BIM platform like a Revit or any other platform, and I can configure it to my use and need. So the product design done on a manufacturing CAD tool is now residing in a BIM platform with not just as a 3D representation, but with all the metadata that is required for the completion of the BIM workflow. Another simple example is this faucet. Depending upon different type, whether it is a basin or a bath or a flush, I can basically configure it to my needs. I can have multiple materials depending upon pricing, depending upon the manufacturers, and I can then use it in my overall BIM workflow. Now, coming to the other part of the building products, where custom fabrication is of much more importance, that is using technology for design for purpose. So your custom fabrication projects, it could be a completely glass elevator, or it could be a highly customized facade design, or it could be a completely new type of a stairwell or a staircase where it is fabricated and not just constructed. Now, when I say fabricated, basically it is fabricated in a machine shop or in a factory. Now, let's take an example of a complete structure like this, a facade structure like this, where you need to design different curtain walls depending upon the different structures. There are rectangular unitized window systems, there are triangular unitized window systems. Now, this is where a manufacturing tool or a technology like Autodesk Inventor is very, very well placed to basically create a highly parameterized model, which can help me to very quickly create not just the 3D model, but also the BOQ or the documentation of my unitized window system, irrespective of my shape or size. So I can vary the shape and size depending upon the structure where it has to be fitted. And because these manufacturing tools can handle any kind of complexity, especially when it comes to product design, so these are very, very well suited to cater to that overall workflow. Now, again, the workflow is very, very simple and very easy to execute. Basically, you have the entire layout either as a drawing or as a Revit 3D model, which gets used in Inventor as a reference. Then I design my unitized template as a template, which gets fit into my building, which can either be then sent back to Revit. At a parallel stream, I can create fabrication drawings. At the same time, I can also pre-validate its structural integrity before it is even fabricated. Another example here is, this building comes from Revit within Inventor, and I need to design a balcony system where I have a completely intelligent or an automated design of a balcony control system, where depending upon the requirement, depending upon the number of balcony count that I need, the spacing that I need, or the depth and width of it, I can basically go ahead and automate or configure that design, take out my schedule of it, and I can go ahead and create or export the data in such a way that it gets recognized in my BIM platform. So I can say, okay, I need to export it to a BIM platform. So it will create a very simplistic model with all the metadata in terms of its material, manufacturer, make, installation, maintenance, etc. And that gets inserted or placed inside your BIM platform like Revit. And again, it is uniquely positioned. So any change in the overall design, I can again go ahead and automate that process to completely change my fabricated item as well. So now again, what manufacturing tools provides in this instance, like Inventor, is basically a way where at the same time when I'm doing my design, I can also pre-validate it for its structural integrity. So I can basically do a facade simulation to understand whether what will be the effect of the dead load, or to simulate a cyclone or a hurricane experience and see what will be the deflection on the glass, what will be the breaking point, whether it will be able to sustain that amount of load or not, and what should be the thickness. So I can do a pre-validation of my design and understand for various scenarios in terms of loading conditions or in terms of different types of disaster conditions like cyclone or your hurricanes. Or I can also deep dive into an individual component level and understand the overall load bearing capacity of this spider bracket and see whether it will be able to sustain the overall load that it is being subjected to, or do an optimization on a curtain wall bracket for its thickness and ensure that I have an optimized product which is less in weight. At the same time, it has a higher factor of safety and ensures an enough strength for it to sustain. And last but not the least, again, we talked about creating a lot of data, but these data are basically manufacturing heavy data. So what it means is it basically creates a very, very detailed CAD geometry. But what BIM requires is a low detailed geometry. So Inventor can basically convert a high detailed geometry into different levels of development, that is your low detailed geometry or level of development. Either you could be using LOD 300, LOD 350, 400 or whatever. So Inventor will provide you with different LODs, which is not manufacturing centric, but it is construction centric. So what I mean is it also comes with metadata which is required for BIM in terms of its connection points, the component types, the installation, the operations, the maintenance part of it, the manufacturers, the make, all these information can be loaded, and finally export it as a data which is recognizable in a BIM platform. The data could be by means of a Revit family or different version of IFC, which not just carries only the 3D data, but also the metadata.
Kirti, sorry to interrupt you. Run out of time. If you could just wrap it up quickly, we'll go to Prabhu next.
Yeah. So I think I'm more or less done. So this is what I wanted to showcase for today's session, where basically manufacturing can partner with construction and be a valuable supplier in the overall BIM ecosystem. Thank you.
Thanks, Kirti, for that lovely insight. We'll go to Prabhu quickly so that we can take his short presentation and then some questions which we have received. So Prabhu, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Ahat. Thank you, Katie, and thank you, Raj Chandra. Good evening, everyone. Raj, Roop Chandra, and Kirti, I have provided you all with a great deal of information on building information modeling and the manufacturing workflows as well. So I'll just add to it and keep things simple. The image you see here is what I want all of you to take away with you today from my talk. It is as simple as that. So I hope everyone remembers the story of the thirsty crow. I'll give you the next 10 minutes to kind of think back on that story and also guess how it is connected to our subject here. While you do that, I'll build you up to it so that we understand the relevance of this image to our content here. At Autodesk, we want people to imagine, design, and create a better world. As we saw earlier, one step towards that is integrating BIM to manufacturing, which connects people, helps them collaborate on a rich model, and to create better opportunities for them. Visualizing our design intentions through a three-dimensional model can help architects, facade designers, and manufacturers to spontaneously exchange ideas and be thoughtful on the designed volume, the shape, the facade, and exterior space throughout the life cycle of the design. Now that we have created BIM objects and moved them in to a Revit and other 3D models, how can it enhance our work further to help the building owners, designers, architects, and fabricators to increase their productivity through design efficiency, reduce time, and reduce cost, and at the end of the day, help you win in your business? I'll quickly take you through a few BIM workflows that will help you do just that. The demand for energy efficient, green and sustainable buildings are increasing to new highs, and the industrialization of facade design is an important trend for the architectural envelope industry to meet that particular demand. Recognizing the long-term impact that our buildings have on this environment, sustainable design is vital for many, and Autodesk BIM tools makes it easier than ever to incorporate sustainable design decision making even at the earliest stages of design. We heard about lighting and energy analysis from Rupchanda. Our powerful analysis tools use leading simulation engines for whole building analysis, including energy analysis, cooling, heating analysis, daylighting analysis, and solar radiation analysis. The tools also provide a mechanism for architects to work with owners to better monitor building performance and the cost during the operation of a particular building. Revit includes direct access to building performance analysis using a tool called Autodesk Insight. With the push of a button, you can send your Revit model to the cloud for analysis, all the analysis that I mentioned in the previous slide. Results are quickly returned in a visual, easy to read format, making it easy to identify opportunities to improve your design. Insight helps you discover a fast, intuitive, outcome-driven guide to improve building energy and environmental performance throughout the building life cycle. It enhances Revit and enables you to kind of visualize and interact with the key performance indicators, the benchmarks, factors, ranges, and a ton of specifications with real-time cause and effect feedback to actually guide you towards better outcomes. Once an analysis is finished, you can access the results of those analysis in Autodesk Insight, where you can change design options for better performance. We can review benchmark data, orientation data, and window glazing performance using the window wall ratios. For each data point, it is also possible to interact with the data and adjust the ranges of those data points. For example, for lighting efficiency, daylighting, and occupancy controls, to arrive at the window dimensions and the locations that is right for your building. Here you see the data points for lighting efficiency. I can just open the lighting efficiency data points, change those data points and interact with those data ranges, and kind of see how the overall performance is. You can see the analysis update as you toggle between the various data points. What this means to you is that you can now evaluate many different system options early in the process, communicate these changes to the fabricator through a collaborative BIM model by effectively managing your data between different parties through a tool, for example, like Autodesk BIM 360. And a change that happens early in the process actually costs nothing, but a change in the design development and construction documents can equate to weeks of lost time and possible delays to schedule, which can further increase the cost. It also allows you to educate our clients on different sustainable strategies to show the impact around building performance and energy use intensity. Clients actually appreciate thinking about building performance early in the design process. Moving on to logistics, we all know the role logistics play in construction and any industry for that matter. How can we simplify it using BIM? Recently, unitized facade fabrication is increasingly being applied. And because unitized facade panels are fabricated and assembled in workshops, the builders who are working at the construction site must kind of have a good knowledge of the facade panels for different facades and of the different floor heights and types to have them correspond to the correct loadout locations and the right positions for installation. After the detailed BIM-based facade design is completed, the components such as unit panels, keel frames, and irregular profiles can be given unique codes according to data planning. Then the facade model of the whole building is assembled and the data can be extracted to generate a material list in some cases too. It is required to note information about fabrication, transportation, installation direction, and sequence of installation in the BIM model, and QR codes within the Revit environment will actually help us do that. I have an example here of a digital display board imported into Revit as a BIM object. In Revit, additional information such as elevation of this digital display, its installation properties, and any other required information can be added into the object using the model properties dialog. And using Dynamo, a QR code can be generated, which on scanning will get all the relevant properties on your mobile through a tool, maybe something like a BIM 360 tool on your mobile phone. We can see it live in action here, where scanning the QR code that is attached to the digital display gives all the required information like the elevation, the location, and installation type. Similar BIM workflows can be employed to pre-assemble the facade panel to have a better construction plan and installation sequence, scientifically create site planning in your construction site, decide the loadout locations for your facade panels, reasonably arrange the construction period, improve installation quality, and reduce the idling of the labor force in the site. In short, save time and cost. Next up is renovation and retrofit. We usually work on a good number of renovation projects and they can be quite difficult at times if you don't have the right information about the existing facilities. It's easier than ever to implement BIM on renovation projects thanks to the increasing accessibility of laser scanning and data preparation tools. Using BIM on renovation projects allows you to kind of design with greater precision, helping to avoid issues that may arise when 2D design files actually don't reflect the as-built conditions from the site. It also speeds up the design and documentation process and allows you to provide a more accurate model of as-built conditions of the project to the project owner, and you can use the same model for your operation and maintenance phases as well. Autodesk has created a powerful and easy to use workflow for reality capture in order to bring you a scan to BIM workflow. We have partnerships with every major hardware vendor, including both unmanned aerial vehicles or drone manufacturers and laser scanner manufacturers. Recap Pro has been designed for use by someone with no previous experience. It is very user friendly, and one-click automated workflows do powerful tasks like scan registration, which stitches multiple scans of your construction site together into one point cloud. Intelligent cleanup services automatically remove unwanted noise, like a person walking through a room that is being scanned. And perhaps most importantly, Recap Pro integrates with all of Autodesk architecture, engineering collection, design creation tools, including Revit. With that, you can create scan to BIM workflows to create elevations, floor plans, and 3D models from scan data directly inside of Revit. And once the scanning process has been completed, you can define regions in Recap that can be used to define level heights and elevations in Revit. The same data can also be used as a reference point to create more floor plans. We can use the modeling tools inside Revit to define furniture, walls, doors, and windows, complete with accurate dimensions, so that you know what you're working on from the construction site, from the as-built model, and the change you wish to do on those doors and windows can be done at an instant. You can even add more detail to your design, such as customized stairs based on the scan data that was captured. And after all of the existing buildings are modeled, you can make new additions to your Revit model for retrofit and renovation purposes. Here's a look at Recap Pro and the ease with which you can work with the scan data. After importing your file, it is possible to review the imported data in 3D and push and pull the extents of the scan to ensure that you're working the most critical and relevant data possible as you prepare for linking in the Revit environment. It is also possible to spot dimension points of interest to get a sense of the scale of the overall building envelope that we are working on. Once you save your work in Recap, you are able to link that data back into Revit with an insert link process and use this data as the base for your further design development. This example shows the completed DD model that is based off the point cloud data. You can see that the model has been developed for structural accuracy, and it even has materials inside the model. With this level of detail and accuracy, you will be able to explore and understand the building information model in detail and kind of feel comfortable with an accurate as-built model to work on your projects. That brings us back to the Thirsty Crow, and I would love to close with this particular image again. Most of us wouldn't have had a hard time remembering the story. In fact, I think this is one of those stories that none of us will forget in our entire lives. Now imagine the pot as your project or your 3D model, and the water, which is your profit, is out of reach. It is at the bottom. The little stones out there are the little pieces of data or information that you already have, that you can keep adding to your model one by one to create that rich information model. And what that is going to do is slowly but steadily bring up that water, or shall I say profits. And trust me, it will taste great. Autodesk, with its BIM solutions and workflows, would love to give you the strength to pick up and add those stones and help you get a sweet taste of that water. We want you to imagine, design, and create a better world. Thank you, everyone. That's it from me. Back to you, Ahad.
Thank you, Prabhu, for that insightful presentation. We'll take some questions now. Can I request Kirti and Roop to come back online, and I'll just shoot the questions at them. Right. Just looking at the questions. Right. Roop, I'll take a few questions for you first. The first one is, how would you summarize the changes and developments that have occurred in BIM since you first started working on it from 2012 until today? I think there is your audio is not all right. It's blurring.
Is it better now?
Yeah, much better. Yeah.
Yeah. There has been change. Definitely, there has been change in the last 8 years, both in terms of technology as well as in terms of perception and acceptance within the market. So the technology bit of it, I will leave it to Prabhu and KP to answer. But I mean,
Right.
on a lot many platforms, even Autodesk has come up with BIM 360 things that were not so really easily available at that point of time in terms of the processes. Those things have come out. So there has been technology change, and obviously versions have kept on increasing. Now I think we are in Revit 2020 when it comes to AutoCAD, so on and so forth in other softwares. So technology has changed, something has been added, processes have been changed where the collaboration part has been added. As far as the acceptance, changes in developments in BIM as far as acceptance by the market, definitely where we were in 2012 and how difficult it was to get all other consultants to accept it and bring them on the platform, but it's much better now. We have so many consultants who have stepped in and realizing the benefit of working in BIM. I hope that kind of answered the question.
Right. Okay. There's a question for Kirti or Prabhu. Can BIM 360 be able to do material planning for an entire project?
I think Prabhu can answer that. I'm a manufacturing guy, so.
BIM 360 is kind of a data management tool where the data that you have can be stored, retrieved, and worked on. Material, I think that cannot be done with BIM 360. You'll have to go for other solutions like Assemble from Autodesk for you to kind of take the quantity takeoffs and material estimations for your projects. I think Assemble will be the right tool to do that. Cannot be done within the BIM 360 environment.
Right. Question back to Mr. Roop. When will cast-in anchor channels be relevant for BIM in facade?
They are already. I mean, we are doing projects where we have cast-in channels for facades, and we have modeled them, and everything is modeled. I guess in my presentation there was an image for that.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So this was a question.
Very relevant.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Another question: is it possible to develop details to the scale of 1:1 with complete detailed specifications?
This is for me.
It's not mentioned for whom, but anyone can take this question.
The answer is again yes. Absolutely. I mean, the scale is. Can the level of detail be to the point where 1:1? Yeah, it can be.
Okay,
You
can be.
develop a detail 1:1 with a level of detail. We go to a level of detail 400, 450. You will get a detail which is worthwhile in 1:1, and you can specify up to the bolt, the nut and the bolt.
Right. Okay. Okay. There's another question. I don't know for whom is this, but I'll just read this out. Lots of data and model which is delaying to process to submit the facade shop drawings or to meet the task with stipulated project schedule. Most of the projects awarded after structure is completed 80 to 100%. What are the suggestions from any of the presenters or the architect to award the project in the right time to the fabricator?
This is more of a project management question.
Okay.
Right time. I understand. I believe whoever the gentleman or the lady who has put this question is from the facade contracting or consulting field, and well, it's more of a project management. I mean, I guess when the drawings or the model reaches them, they have a very short period of time in which to detail it to the level of detail that is expected by the architect or the client. I mean, my answer to that would also be that probably as BIM gets integrated into the building construction industry more and more, there will be some other changes. There will be changes in procurement timelines, where it would be understood that to get the best out of the BIM process and for the benefit for the best of the building, probably procurements have to be preponed so that subcontractors and contractors are given more time to make best use of BIM and get the best shop drawings out. So I really don't have an answer other than the fact that it will eventually happen over time as the market starts getting used to BIM projects.
Right. Okay. I hope this
again,
answered. Yeah.
Just to add to that, basically now a lot of owners and contractors, for different stages during the construction, they ask for different level of development of the design. So you would have heard terms like LOD 100, LOD 200, 300, 400, and 500. Basically, right from conceptual to your as-built model. So depending upon at what stage of your design phase it is in, so they basically ask for the data or the model with that appropriate LODs. Okay.
I hope this answered the question by the gentleman. Okay, there's another question here for Prabhu or you, Kirti. As glaziers, we find it very difficult to get the staff trained. How long will it take for a person to have a fair knowledge of BIM as a structural analysis tool for parametric fabrication? To complete BIM, how many softwares are involved?
It's a very holistic question in terms of to complete BIM, how many softwares are required. So, there are multiple tools, multiple technologies, multiple stakeholders that are basically converging to complete the entire BIM platform. Now, from strictly speaking, as a building manufacturer or a product supplier, it's basically an extension of your AutoCAD, that is Inventor, which is a 3D modeling parametric tool, which can basically help you to create your design right from concept till fabrication. And the tool has been built in such a way that you don't have to spend a whole lot of time in learning the nuances of design. It is now mature enough that you just need to know the basics of design, and the tool will guide you in your journey of creating the parametric design. That's the first part of the question. Second part of the question is in terms of the validation. Agreed, a lot of people basically get scared whenever you talk about simulation and FE validation and stuff like that. But that is so 10 years back. Now with the advancement of technology, validation has kind of become a part of your design process itself. So we call it as upfront simulation. So the moment you are designing, you can basically put it forward to or subject it to a validation tool right within your design framework itself, and get an understanding of its structural integrity. So Inventor has that capacity to basically do your design and validate right within the same framework. I hope I have answered your question. If not, we can have a much more detailed discussion later.
Yeah, I would just like to add on top of what Kirti said, and he spoke about the different tools that we use. And with Autodesk, specifically, what's more important is the different tools are actually integrated with each other. Like for example, you have a Revit tool, and you have a robot for structural analysis. Both these tools actually kind of talk to each other in the background. So whatever you do in one tool can be easily translated into the other tool, which I think is not available with the other tool. So that would be an added advantage where the ecosystem is such that even though there are multiple tools, all those tools are kind of linked to each other. So the learning curve is, as you get used to it, is kind of very less.
Right. We'll take the last two questions. I'll take this question for Roop. Can as-built survey of a building variation be incorporated in BIM to get customized brackets and panels?
Yes, the answer is absolutely yes. That's the expectation when you are using BIM, and when you are handing over an as-built record model to the client. The expectation is it be modified to exactly reflect what's been built. So yes, the answer is yes.
Right. There's another question. Presently, we are using AutoCAD software. If we upgrade to Revit software, is the same detailing can be done as it is being done in AutoCAD software? If yes, there is definitely advantage of working in Revit software to get visualized to get the end result. Up to what LOD the detailing can be done in Revit software?
Yeah, it definitely can be done inside of Revit. Revit has both 3D views and 2D sheets as well. So if you, for example, if you are creating a 3D model inside of Revit, you will get a 2D sheet that is associated with that, and whatever 2D drafting that you do within AutoCAD can be done inside of Revit 2D sheets as well.
Right. Last question: is Inventor a part of Autodesk?
Yes. Yeah. It's a 3D design and a modeling software. It's a part of.
Okay, great. So I think we'll end today's session here. There are a few more questions, but I think we run out of time. So I'd like to thank all of you, Prabhu, Kirti, Roop, for your time out. Thank you so much for taking your time out and making this interesting presentation. I'll email you the questions across, and please do reply to the pending ones at your earliest convenience. So thank you, gentlemen, and thank you, audience, for attending today's webinar. I hope all of you enjoyed today's session. As I mentioned earlier, this webinar is being recorded. You will be receiving a copy of this recording 2 hours after this session is over. And I'd like to request all of you, please stay at home, stay safe. Together we will overcome these challenging times. Thank you, Mr. Roop. Thank you, Kirti. Thank you, Prabhu. I hope to be in touch with all of you once this lockdown is done.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.